is Melissa Johnson of Wow Ministries, and welcome to the Brilliant Black Man Show. We're live,
We're live.
and hello to my special guest, Rex White of Seafood Boil NC. Welcome, Rex White.
Thanks for having me.
It's so good to have him back on the show. This is the second go round with Rex White. I thought it was befitting for me to come back to where I started. These are my roots. I started here July of 2020 when I started the Brilliant Black Man tour. And he was my first guest. And at the time, he was just opening up the restaurant. It wasn't open. And he allowed me to come in and interview him. And we talked about a whole lot of things. But today, I came back because he has a well-established restaurant here now on the corner of Central Avenue in Mount Holly, North Carolina, called Seafood Boil NC. He has created spices and created sauces and created cornbread and all kinds of recipes. And I am just so elated to be back in his establishment on today. We just finished a 1-hour interview on the Transformation Network that will go live on tomorrow. This is our part 2 of the interview, and we're going to talk a little bit about Black men in America, the past, the present, and the future. Black men in America. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Brilliant Black Man Show, created to bring to light the success stories of Black men all around the world. It is the mission and goal of Melissa Johnson to share these incredible, talented, and successful men with viewers across the country. Wake up, America, and listen to the interviews of these strong Black men who are making a difference in their family, community, boardroom, and the world. They are building empires and leaving a legacy. Their life story and success matters, and it's Melissa's goal to change the narrative of how the Black man is portrayed in the media, streets, home, workplace, and beyond. Join Melissa on a journey to bring awareness to the brilliance of the Black man. Follow the interviews as these men speak on the importance of entrepreneurship, education, financial literacy, legacy building, and building Black businesses within their communities. Now, here is your host. Thanks for tuning into the Brilliant Black Man Show with Melissa Walker Johnson. For more information, welcome to.
And welcome back to the Brilliant Black Man Show. This is your host, Melissa Johnson of Wow Ministries, and I am with Rex White of Seafood Boil NC. Welcome to the show, Rex.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Melissa.
So glad that you are here, and so glad to talk about the conversation on how to move forward. My show is all about showcasing the brilliance of the Black man. Yet, so many times our Black males or Black men are held back for so many reasons. We want to talk about the state of the Black man and how do we learn from the past, live in the present, and how to incorporate the lessons and move forward to create a new experience on how we view the Black man. Let's start the conversation today.
Sounds good. Let's start.
So as we look at the past, what are the significant events that happened in the past to our Black men? Explain some of those events and how is the Black man viewed in America?
Events of the past that happened to Black men. Well, I think that segregation from Black men from their households, that started, it's always been a plan. But I think a relevant time it started would have been right around 1954, when the Vietnam War happened. and it picked up some pace going into 1963, 64, where it disproportionately drafted black men into the army. They put them into infantries. Many of them had poor treatment. They were told they're going to die. So they left their families, went into Vietnam. Many didn't come back. Same time, Lyndon B. Johnson put a law, it's called Married to the Welfare State, where they provided food stamps and housing benefits to single women or women whose husbands weren't there. But they can only keep those benefits if the men never came back into the house, right?
Wow.
And so that's what sparked the women's revolution, if you will, of independence. And it really just kind of kept going from there because a lot of men that came back from the war, the GI Bill didn't help the black men, who had twice the PTSD than the white man because of what they saw, what they had to experience, not only from the war in Vietnam, but from the white fellows that was there. And as you know, drugs hit our communities. Ronald Reagan allowed drugs to literally make its way from the coast, South Coast, into the neighborhoods, and the rest is our story. So that's what happened to black.
And how do we view our black men today? Is it a positive view of black men, or would you say there's a negative view of how we look, how we treat, how we respect the black man?
That's a tough question. I don't know if I wouldn't say, well, I don't think it's positive necessarily. I'm trying to figure out who respects black men. Do black men respect black men? I don't know, do they? Still a lot of killing going on in the urban cities across the nation. Do our children respect black men? I don't know. So many black men don't live with their kids. I don't know. Do black women respect black men? I don't know. Are they, trying to hold on to black men? I don't know. And do other communities respect black men? I don't know. Can't call it.
Let's talk about the top 3 experiences of the black man.
Okay.
1 is racism.
Okay.
2 is police brutality.
Uh,
And 3 is unemployment and poverty.
Yeah, I think that I think the biggest threat is black men because we are brilliant. I mean, we've had to endure so much. We can wear a lot of hats. We've been known in history to be great creators. We've been known in history to overcome so many obstacles. I mean, rap music was born from oppression, like literally. I don't know if black people would have, if we wasn't oppressed, I don't know that black rap music actually exists. You know what I'm saying? Because rap music was born out of, these are our circumstances. And let's put a beat to it. We can't sing, so let's talk about it with a pace and rhyme. You see what I'm saying? And that's rap music.
Well, how has racism held the black man down? Because if you look at racism and what the effect that it's had on the black man, then you can kind of understand how we begin to view that black man because of what has happened in racism.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
I think racism made us try to be a part of a world that we wasn't from. So many black men, as you say, in the 90s, early 2000s, we had to create a duality. We had to be one person at home and we had to go into the workforce to be able to get along and be promotable and become somebody else. So that's stepping away from your natural self, right? And that's always going to be problematic because you can't exist as an imposter for so long. And then you got to kind of have this mental breakdown when you just get tired of being an imposter. I think that your second question was as far as...
So when we look at racism and we look at the effects of racism, then we can see and maybe understand why people view black men the way they do. So if they, through racism, they treat the Black man as if he has no value and that he's not important, then that carries on into society, and then we begin to view the Black man that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that the stigma against Black men it's difficult to put your finger on, but I do see hope in that aspect. I think there's been an awakening over the past 10 years where men are understanding, Black men are understanding that there's pillars of wealth that exist. But we have to go get the information. We got to be disciplined. We can have better relationships and be ourselves because our culture, that culture I talked about, that was created by oppression and rap music, it's everyone's music now. So we can be ourselves in the workplace because our white counterparts and whatever, they listen to the same music. When I came to corporate America in 1994, I worked for a company that was 1% Black. Right? It was three of us and all of them. I listened to rap, they listened to, I don't know, Kid Rock, something like that. And so we didn't have that in common, but now we have commonalities. And quite frankly, you know, people white America, they have a lot of the same oppression that Black people. Because now it's about green. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of us are going through the same or similar things.
So let me ask you this, as it relates to racism. Do you believe that, based on studies, that the Black man is thriving, that his significance is greater than even the Black woman, the white woman, and the white man, or is it still falling tremendously below?
I think it's falling below because there's no brand media promoting Black men.
Why is that?
Well,
Why is that?
That's a good question. Well, I think America's agenda is the LGBT community. That's kind of, let's protect that. That's why they want you to see what your pronouns are. You know, everywhere it's like, what's your pronoun, right? That way, whatever you are, it's acceptable. It's not something that's demonized. I think that, well, I know that Black women are filling out paperwork for more LLCs now. More Black women are going to university. So there's no advocate to show really what Black men are doing. Like, we've always been relevant, but it's been in our own way. And oftentimes Black men get misunderstood. I would tell you this too. Most creative people are misunderstood anyway because the articulation of what you are and who you are, especially if it doesn't grow fruit, it's like a guy up under a viaduct, lives off the street, but he made a great creation that he sold off and he went broke. He's still brilliant, no one knows. And because he don't have a Bentley coupe, who's going to give him any kind of credence? So I think a lot of Black men fall into that area. And because a lot of us lose our entire, what's significant to us in marriage, a lot of Black men, they go away quietly and no one's saying, well, you still are brilliant. Not by and large, right? Until you become relevant to the eyes of people and materialism, right?
Right.
You get your car right, your house right, da da da.
Right.
And you become,
Then
you are somebody.
Right.
Oh,
Then
we thought
he
you was
sees
done.
Right.
So,
What does it do to a man? What does it do to him internally when the effects of racism makes it impossible for him to provide for his family, to climb the corporate ladder, to create wealth, to do all of these things that says that this is the land of the free and that you should be able to do this and you should be able to thrive. What does it do to a Black man when these avenues are made impossible for him to achieve?
when your spirit gets broken, it's hard to understand your capability, I believe. I think for Black men to come out of it, number one, you got to identify what broke down and then resolve it and put it to a place. And take inventory of who you are and what you're made of. Like you still made of what you're made of when you were young. You know, so I remember my mother saying you can do anything. Like, really? Anything? Man, anything. Well, it shows now in my life I can do anything. So I never lost what she told me. So I think that taking inventory of your capabilities and really where you came from, you're supposed to substance. You can again attain substance in your life as far as success is concerned. But it can be debilitating. I mean, quite frankly, Black men don't get any favor in this country, not in the eyes of the legal system. And that's from assumed guilty, that's from divorce. Oftentimes a woman gets the parental rights of the kid. Um, yeah, I mean, I think it's debilitating, but men have to be strong enough to say, this is what it is. This is what you got to do to get to where we want to be.
Okay.
You have to be very mature and strong-minded to do it.
Strong. And so, do you believe that the effects of racism is still prevalent in our society today
Oh, yeah.
as it relates to the Black man?
Yeah, for sure.
And if so, we're talking about the past of what happened to us as a people, and then we're talking about the present effects. But then, how do we move forward? So, if you think it's prevalent, how do we get past that to move forward?
Yeah, it's too prevalent in the eyes of the law. How do we get past it and move forward? That's a good question. To not be demonized as being a thug. Well, I've never seen a lawyer get beat up by cops or somebody in a suit. Or somebody that's, you know what I'm saying, like cleaned up. I never seen that. You know, not to say it never happened. I think the other thing is the internal relevance of oneself. You have to have internal fortitude to say, I am somebody. Absence of what anybody else says you are. And that's really big. Because if it is true that racism still exists, if it is true that we're going to be looked upon as being guilty until proven innocent, then you have to have a strong insight to not let your emotions go out of control. We often say control emotions and think about don't cry, but anger is a very strong emotion. And oftentimes you don't have yourself in check, you let the anger come out and then all bets are off. You are what you say you are. So I like to see more Black men be professional, do what we say we're going to do. Be neutral, positive energy trying to inspire one another.
And that's the way we move forward.
That's the way we move forward.
That's the way we move forward. Our next point is police brutality. And this is the reason, one of the reasons why this show was created. I want to talk a little bit about George Floyd.
George Floyd, yeah.
Talk a little bit about him. This event occurred on May 25th, 2020. My show began on July of 2020. It was from those events.
3 years ago.
Right, when I saw this happening, I couldn't believe my eyes that this was happening, especially from law enforcement.
Yeah.
It would be more acceptable if it was, Black on Black crime there in the streets. They're doing this is more acceptable, but to see law enforcement, who's supposed to be upholding and protecting us, taking this man's life, and the way they took his life, as if he had no value, if his life had no value.
Right.
And to see that event sparked something within me. And I knew this was not right. First of all, how they treated this man. And this is only one man that was caught on tape. I'm sure this is happening to many other men, Black men, that's not caught on tape. I just could not believe the events. And it sparked something in me as a Black woman to why do they view our men as if they have no value? That would be my first question. Why? And why would they take the life as if their life has no value?
We are the biggest threat because of our potential. Our potential is a threat. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 Black billionaires right now. One is from Barbados, right? New billionaires. So to come from nothing, I'm talking about Rihanna. So to come from nothing and to be able to turn yourself into a billionaire,
Right.
that's powerful, right? And along the way, you're creating these camps of new billionaires too.
Mhm.
And LeBron James camp, and Kevin Hart's camp, and
Yeah.
Diddy's camp, and Jay-Z's camp.
Right. Steve Harvey.
Steve Harvey,
Tyler
the whole
Perry,
camps, they're surrounding themselves
Oprah
by
Winfrey.
people who also want better things in life.
Mhm.
And so there's people that don't like that. Right? Yeah, go ahead.
Why?
Well,
Why?
powers that be. You know, we're a narcissistic country.
So it goes back to racism.
Oh, yeah.
It goes back to racism.
Whoever says racism does not exist, they're not black. And they like the way things are where there's controls. I always call it a correction. Whenever there's a hope building up, there's going to be correction. And that's what racism does. It corrects something that created hope that's going to get you out of being oppressed, right? And I can go all the way back to James Jackson, black codes, everything. It's always been corrections. You know, what they did to Joe Louis in Detroit, they told him, you better not say nothing. We're going to strip you of everything you have. Teddy Pendergrass. Remember Teddy Pendergrass? You don't know about his story. He had his name on white women's behinds. Remember the Pendergrass jeans? Teddy Pendergrass. Anyway, my point is that, to your point, why they want to keep us oppressed is because of our potential to do great things. And once we get the answers to the wealth building, then we're just going to grow that much faster.
So there is, so for another race, the black man becomes a threat to them. And
but I will say this too.
Okay.
I'll say this too.
okay,
The reason why we're a threat too is because we make everybody rich. All right. So if you come over here, if you want to open up a business and you want to make a lot of money, you got to go into black neighborhoods, right? Chaldeans that are in Detroit, Jews. I mean, I'm not going to name all the nationalities, but we take $1 billion, $1.7 trillion. I'm sorry. We take trillions of dollars and we literally put it into. We're not even open. Sorry. I'm watching that.
so we're interviewing at his restaurant, and people are actually walking into the restaurant. So it's okay. Go ahead, Rex.
Yeah. So the bottom line is that it's the possibilities of us doing to America what America has done to us. Okay, just think about it like this. Let's just say that we took our $1.7 trillion in 2024. We either held on to it or we had to just spend it in black-owned businesses.
Black-owned businesses, right.
What would that do to the entire economy, right? And all the people who can, And so it would cripple.
It will cripple.
Because, okay, the community of Detroit that owns a lot of liquor stores, let's just say we will not patronize them.
Right.
What happens to them?
Right. They go out of business.
They go out of business.
So we have power.
And they go out of business right away.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. And sometimes we don't understand power that we have together. As we were interviewing earlier today, we were talking about the concept of Black Wall Street and how they came together and lived in this community, and then they thrived as Black business owners, and that they were very successful. That concept is real when you work together. Spend your money with Black businesses. We can cripple the economy because we have power, but we don't understand the power that we have, and we don't use it. So we abuse it because we don't understand it, and we don't understand the purpose of something. We will abuse that.
That's true. Yeah. So that's really the entire gist of why there's always a correction when we have advancements, right? This is why I'm not a big advocate of I'm a black-owned business.
Mhm.
And the doctor told me something today.
Mhm.
He said, I don't put my
My
face
face
on
on
my
the
books.
books.
I had never thought of that,
Yeah.
but I now understand why. Now, he's old school,
Right.
right? He was able to sell his publishing and make a ton of money and then buy it back.
Mhm.
And they sold it back to him because people found out he was black.
Black man.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it's very important to understand that, right?
Yeah.
That whole minority-owned tag
Mhm.
may help you, but oftentimes it hurts you because it puts you on the radar of who not to go patronize. And quite frankly, we're too small in the United States, the black community, to make us rich. We're too small. You see what I'm saying? It's not enough of us to make our businesses home to that extent and degree. And oh, by the way, we pay more for the things that we buy for our customers because we don't have combined resources to buy big, right? Lower our costs so that we can make more margins. We got to buy high and then sell high, but if we sell too high, they're not going to patronize us. It's going to be a pricing, right?
That's right.
And so we're at a disadvantage that way.
And a prime example is the beauty supply industries.
Oh, beauty is
The beauty supply, the African American beauty supply companies cannot stay in business because they cannot buy in mass quantities. But you have the other nationalities, they can buy in bulks, and so they can drive their prices down. We have to drive our prices up because what we're paying for.
And they own access to distribution.
Right.
Right? And
absolutely. That's huge.
I mean, if I wanted to make t-shirts and sell them for $10 a piece, I would have to go to China to do it, right? And then I would have to pay somebody to bring it. That's distribution. So my sweet things on my shirt, I got to pay somebody to bring that to me.
Right, and that's a cost.
And that's a cost. So if you're a major distributor, there's two industries that you ain't got to create nothing. Manufacturing and distribution. All you got to do is wait for somebody to pay you to move. To create and move.
Wow.
And you just sit there with all the machinery and all that stuff. Get an order in, manufacture, distribute. I'm the one that's got to go sell it. I got to create the social media buzz. I got to create the people that want it. Outlets to sell it through and all this other kind of stuff. And you got companies that are making a ton of money. Same with music, right? It wasn't the artist that made money.
Right.
It never was.
Never. That's why they broke. And they're doing concerts today. They broke it doing concerts today. Absolutely.
So major money in the black community, the smartest thing for black people to do is this. Is to buy, manufacture, and distribution. Right. But guess what? It's hard to get in there.
It's hard to get in.
You need a lot of money to create the manufacturing facilities. And the line is distribution, trucking, logistics, et cetera, et cetera.
Just like you was talking about earlier about giving to the country club. You can have the money to pay for the membership, but you can't, they hold you back because you have to be elected.
Yeah, and they've got the business set up already.
Right. And so they have systems in place to keep us out. Yes, systems in place. Just like police brutality.
Yeah.
Let's go back to that.
Okay.
It's a system.
Yeah.
I believe it's a system to annihilate our black men. It's a system to take away their power. It's a system. I mean, the jail cell system is a corporation now.
Been one, yeah.
It's a corporation. They in it to make money for profit. So a black body in there is making them money. So if there's no bodies in there, they're making no money.
True.
Talk about that. Talk about that a little bit, Rex. Talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the police brutality. Why is it? It's always been here, but it seems like it's growing and it's an intensity now. Why is that? And how, as a black man in America, can you move forward to protect yourself against this system?
Well, you got to realize that a lot of us are looked upon as opportunities. Black people in general, opportunities. It's like being wanted or tolerated. right? So we have that relationship with America where we're tolerated, but while we're here, we gotta pay rent. What does that mean? Jail system. Gotta have enough of y'all pull up on us so we can make money. Businesses, I gotta keep giving y'all money so I can put it right back into our economy. So we're tolerated without necessarily wanting. We're paying rent by being here because we have to walk a straight line. Once you get out of that line, there's going to be correction. And every now and again, with police brutality, there's corrections. Rodney Pete was a correction. Remember that? Remember Rodney Pete? Only difference between Rodney Pete and George Floyd, Rodney Pete did not die, right? But the event was no less shocking, right? And so that was a correction. George Floyd is a correction. In other words, y'all understand line, right? So tolerated versus wanted to be here. You just have to understand that, and again, we have to, number one, act a certain kind of way. I think professionalism is a straight line in this country. You're professional, you act like you got some sense. It's really a get away from the nonsense ticket.
So you're saying because you drive a certain type of car, because you look a certain kind of way, because you wear a certain kind of clothing, they target you.
Absolutely.
So that means
the car. Okay, I'll give you a perfect example. I used to run for an insurance company. I ran in the state of Illinois when I was living in Michigan. I drove a car that was, one that would get pulled over by the cops all the time. They pulled me over like once a week. I drove from Detroit to Chicago every week. So I commuted. Every Monday morning, I get up at 2 in the morning, head to Chicago. I get pulled over like every other week. They come to the car. I wore my suit because I was driving to Chicago to go to a meeting. And so they pulled me over. They come around and look in the car. Where you headed? Chicago. I work in Chicago. They be like, have a good day. Nothing else needs to be said. They saw the suit. They saw they didn't mess with me. Right? And that's what told me that I was getting profiled for my car. They came to my car, they saw a professional person. They said, they didn't even check my license. They didn't even ask for anything. They just put me over to see what I was looking like inside the car.
And I don't think we can properly talk about this because, I know it's probably deeper than what we're going into, and maybe one day we'll bring this conversation back and be able to spend an hour or so with some real solutions that we can implement. It's hard for me to believe, and I know that the way you present yourself is a fact. However, you're a person. You're a human being, and being a human being, right, have rights.
Absolutely.
It have rights, and you take the rights away when you falsely, do these things to
the truth of the matter is we should be able to look how we want to look. We should be able to wear tattoos on our face. No one bother us. That's the truth of the matter. But you came off with this conversation talking about racism. Because of racism, some people can wear tattoos on their face and no one bother them. And some of us cannot.
Right.
Some of us cannot have too much jewelry on, wear a hat to the back without being profiled. Some can, some can. And that's just the country. And that proves the point that we are still a racist country. Has it gotten better? I don't know. Who really knows if it's getting better? All I can say is we are in control of ourselves because we know we're a target. We have to have a protocol. Certain things we can say and can't say in the light of political. So you just gotta be professional.
It's amazing.
You can't win that fight.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So I did a little research from Brooklyn Institute, and they do a lot of studies. And based on their studies, they came up with some conclusions as it relates to Black men. And let me just read this for you. It says Black men are poorly served by schools. That has an effect on young Black boys. It does. Black men, by contrast, much less likely than white men to rise up the corporate ladder or the income ladder. The data shows that black men raised by low-income parents face twice the risk of remaining stuck in this intergenerational poverty.
Okay.
Black men earn less than white men and women. Black men are less likely to participate in the labor force. And it went on and on and on and on. Your thoughts on these
It's really shocking
findings?
to be quite honest with you, but not surprised. Not surprised. Why your effort with the Brilliant Black Man Initiative is such a worthy initiative. You know,
Yep.
it should be given credence for.
It's just- Now, what does, and this is going to be our last because I know we have to wrap it up. What does poverty and unemployment, we just talked about how it's hard, not impossible, but it's difficult for a black man to move up income ladder. It's difficult for the black man to achieve success in the workplace over the white man, the black woman, the white woman. What does unemployment, what does poverty do to the black man and him trying to be the man, the provider in his home? What does that do? And so you are a black man, Rex. If you can't provide for your family, if you can't find employment, if you can't make a decent wage to take care of your family, what does it do to you as a black man?
Yeah, I mean, it could be paralyzing. I've been there before. I've been homeless. I was homeless in 2019 for like 5 months. And yeah, it could be debilitating. Because I grew up where having money made you somebody. I came up in that area where you wanted to have a knot in your pocket that made you feel relevant, that made you feel like somebody. And so I know from my own standpoint that I didn't feel like a man unless I had money. When I have money and resources, oh man, you feel broken. And this is why a lot of men take their worries when they can't provide to the bottle, sex, you know, and they self-destruct. Again, like I said earlier, it goes back to what's inside of you. And we all gonna have tough times in life, but it's how you respond to them.
Okay.
You might fall off and do some things that's uncharacteristic, but when you go back to what you made of, you can find your way out. This is why we're so strong, because we have those scenarios more than other communities where men can't provide, not because they don't want to sometimes, but because they can't. And going back to your study about black boys in school, a lot of our black boys grow up in a single family in bad neighborhoods, and the education
Right.
is so bad, underfunded on purpose, I believe. I could be wrong. I don't know. But we have enough evidence to make a conspiracy, then maybe it's not a conspiracy, maybe it's the truth, right? And so going to corporate America, and again, my experience in corporate America, straight up, I work for Chrysler. I work for all the big three. Ford, GM, and Chrysler. Chrysler second, Ford first. When I was in Chrysler endeavoring to be a plant manager for one of their facilities, I saw they had a program called Fast Track. I'm going somewhere with the story.
Okay.
The Fast Track program was one where you come into the plant to get 6 months experience and you go straight to corporate, right? So they put you in the plant, you get a little bit of simulant experience, a little material flow experience, etc. And they take you to corporate and start moving you like this up the ladder. Yeah. Most of the men that came in, or people that came in on the Fast Track were white. So my department had to train them to watching.
Corporate ladder.
So a lot of my colleagues who are black, those guys didn't get to corporate till year 20. Now they all went at year 20. It's almost like somebody said in the back room, written on a piece of paper, if they stay 20 years, then we'll let them go corporate. Is it an anomaly? Is it set up that way? I don't know. I just know that a lot of the fast trackers were white, and the black men that I work with in college. I left the automotive industry early, but it took them 20 years to get into corporate America. So what happens is there's a money difference, right?
Of course it is.
Right? And so the fast trackers made more money systematically over the years, same amount of years. 20 years in the plant, you made this. Corporate climbing that ladder. Not only that, you have more work-life balance too, right? Because plants ran 24 hours. Right. So my guys did first shift, the third shift, the mixed shift, the split shift, What it does to your family is, your family's kind of less cohesive. You miss recitals to graduations to and all that.
And what it does to your body as well.
Your body, your mind, it's more stress.
Right.
But these guys go there and at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, right. And they're sitting at a desk.
There you go. So racism is real.
Racism.
But it's not an excuse to not be a success.
Right.
And the bottom line is, I'm about making it work.
And how do we do that? Because I do not want to end on a bad note. I don't want to end on there is no hope. What do we have to do?
Systematically, number one, you got to get your mind right and focus on something that you want in life. They call that visualization. Okay, once you get visualized and see it, you got to get an idea to take you there. Once it's a good idea, again, you're not starting a business in a bad industry. Then you ride that idea on out. You iterate as you go. You create more value in the business, and then you figure out ways to expand it as you go along. It starts with vision, hard work, and then just growing with the idea.
We are going to have to continue this conversation. This is a conversation that must be talked about, and we must have real solutions to these.
That's what it's all about.
To these problems that plague our Black men. Thank you, Rex White.
You're welcome.
For your time. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your information, and thank you for all that you're doing to break the cycle. You are a successful Black man in America. You are brilliant, and I applaud you for that. Thank you for sharpening us today, and prayerfully something has been said today to bring awareness to our past, our present, but how we can move forward. We need to move forward as a people, and hopefully something was said to move this conversation forward to some type of results. So I thank you again for being a part of the Brilliant Black Man Show. This is part 2 of our show. You will be able to catch part 1 of the Transformation Network. It will be aired on their network as well as on all of my social media platforms, YouTube, and the Wow Ministry LLC.com website. Rex, as we exit out today, can you share with our viewers how they can stay in contact with you?
The best platform to reach out or at least see what we're doing is nuclearpreneur.com. That's my website. It's the culture of everything that we're doing. There's all the businesses, that information, the growth and projections on it. It talks about seafood boil and sea, the expansion of the restaurants, and it talks about legacy buildings. There's a lot of information there. It's nuclearpreneur.com, nuclearpreneur, nuclear, like nuclear family, entrepreneur put together.com, and that's where you can find what we're doing, our business.
Thank you so much for your time. And as we conclude this segment of the Brilliant Black Man Show, Rex's motto is building better together. As we conclude, I would like your final thoughts on how we can do that, Rex, how that can become a reality in our community.
2 things. Number one, lead in faith as far as how we deal with each other. And the second thing I would say is imagine a world where we have more congruence, more collaboration, more loyalty, and do what we say, and it works towards that.
Thank you again. This has been Melissa Johnson of Wild Ministry with the Brilliant Black Men Show. My special guest today has been Rex White of Seafood Royal NC. You can follow Rex White on all social media platforms as well as his website, Nuclearpreneur. That's NuclearPreneur.com. Follow him, stay connected to him. We want you to support all of his efforts. He has a restaurant in Mount Holly, North Carolina, right on the corner. It's called Seafood Royal NC. He has breakfast here. He has dinner. You can catch his all that he's doing on his website. So please go to his website. You will know the times he open and close and all of the and his menu. He's also a writer. He has 2 published books that's available on Amazon. You can type in his name. I'm sure the books will come up. Support him in all his efforts. He has seasonings, sauces, all of these in local stores now. Is that correct?
We're moving that way.
It's moving. Okay.
It's branding and scaling our products.
Okay, so right now it's in his restaurant. You can come here. You can order in or order to go, and you can pick up some of his seasonings, some of his sauces. This is a brilliant Black man making a difference, leaving a legacy, and leaving a print in our world. We hope something has been said today to wake you up, to get up, and let's get to work. Again, this is Melissa Johnson of Wild Ministry with the Brilliant Black Man Show. Have a wild kind of day.
Thanks for tuning into the Brilliant Black Man Show with Melissa Walker Johnson on the TransformationTalkRadio.com. For more information and to watch any of the past inspiring interviews of the BBM shows, you can follow the tour at the Brilliant Black Man Show on YouTube or WildMinistriesLLC.com. These successful men's stories are worth sharing with the world. Wild Ministries, inspiring the world with the Brilliant Black Man Show.